and I'm a principal of a charter school. So I have to figure out how to build a school and work at a school at the same time. But I did my action research on impacts and perceptions of Khanmigo for instructional reinforcement. So I did my project at Galaxy Middle School. It was built in 1990, so it's kind of an older school. We're Title I. Our enrollment has dropped drastically over the last 15 years I've been there. For this school year, we were a C. We went to a B last year, and now we dropped to a C. So principal wasn't too happy about that, but it is what it is. We are the home of the Rockets. It is a beautiful school. It has a really good culture. So the county, in all of their infinite wisdom, decided that we had to implement a new AI program. It was a directive that was at one of our extended early release professional developments that we are going to implement AI instruction in every single core class last school year. So I decided to follow one of our teachers who is a rule follower. She implements stuff. If the district says do it, she does it. So her class makeup had 96 students. She taught all kinds of kids. So she did advanced, gifted, ELL, 504, and students with disability. She has a 19-to-1 ratio. She has 64% of her students are on free or reduced lunch. 68% of her students are students of color. And she has 20 years experience. She's the type of teacher that I wanted my kids in her class, right? So fantastic teacher. She sees growth every year. So the purpose of the study, we have shown persistent achievement gaps. I mean, when everybody else in the state went up to a B or an A, we went down. Traditional reinforcement hasn't been working for our students. And we were told that we had to use this program, so we implemented a structured AI program for reinforcement that was pushed by Volusia County Schools. Right, so 2023, we were significantly under state average, and it's pretty much maintained. We got real close 2 years ago, but then it dropped down again last year. All right, so we're just not seeing the proficiency rates from our students. So we're looking at this program. Can we get our students' reading skills up using this program? Will we see the learning gains based on this program? You know, they promised all these big things. AI is going to fix education. So we wanted to see, are there going to be measurable learning gains? And perceptions. Do the teachers like it? Do the students like it? How is it perceived? This was kind of forced on the teachers. Some more reluctant than others. So I wanted to see how it was perceived after we implemented it. So I started out looking at all aspects of her classes, right? What we're going to see, what are the impacts we're going to see on our gifted advanced kids? What are the impacts are we going to see on our ELL students, right? What are the impacts we're going to see on our 504 students with disabilities? Are they going to get learning gains with using this program? What are their perceptions before and after? Like how do they find it worthwhile? Or are they getting that technology burnout that we're hearing about? And what are the teachers' perceptions, right? They're forced to use this. How do they feel before and after? All right, so all of my research focused on AI and computer-assisted learning. Basically, what this finding showed that middle school and high school students had the highest learning gains when they used AI. It validates us using it for our sixth graders, that with the directed AI lessons and interaction, it matched the design of the program. This one, they have the strongest results when the teacher's involved with the instruction, right? So it's not just set it and forget it mentality. The teacher has to be involved, right? So teacher training has to be on the forefront. Otherwise, the kids are just trying to do it on their own. Student motivation. We're finding that students are not motivated by the computer giving them a little fake sticker on the screen, right? So the research is showing that without the teacher, the students are not motivated. So again, we have to push that human interaction, that human involvement, otherwise the students are not getting that internal motivation. It models mastery. It goes through the processes of the skill acquisition, right? So Khanmigo is based on Khan Academy. So this is built on the same platform that has been used in our schools for a decade or more, right? So hopefully it would be a good reinforcement tool. And then, so I found a research article that is based on Khanmigo, and of course, it was probably commissioned by the company, so they're going to show the benefits of Khanmigo, but it kind of reinforced the students' perception of it. Certain kids enjoyed it, others not so much. So, and then there was a study in Georgia where they took 1,600 schools, they implemented AI, and they found that the biggest impact was the schools that did over-the-top like training and PDs. Their schools did well with the technology and the AI. The ones that did, they failed at it, right? So, huge indicator if your school is going to be successful at any implementation is how much training that the people who are implementing it get. So, in my methodology, first we deployed it. The teachers got their bare minimum 30-minute training on Khanmigo. It was basically, here's your login, have at it. And then we started looking at the FAST assessment data. Again, our proficiency rates have not been great. So we looked at PM2, because we started this in roughly December, and we wanted to see from PM2 to PM3, what was our learning gains. Then I took the student surveys. We gave it to the students who used it the most to see how did they feel about it before and after. Teacher surveys, I gave one specific survey to the teacher whose class that I used as my research lab, and then I sent out the survey to the rest of the campus to see, they were all told they had to do this, what were their perceptions after we were given this directive. And then I looked at the Khanmigo usage, how many minutes did these kids spend on this program using it. And so we had 96 kids that were officially in the research group. It ran from December to May. We looked at the PM scores, both the scale scores and then overall. And then we used I did the survey, and ended up 36 kids responded to the survey, 29 of the general faculty responded, and then one ELL teacher, right? So, certain classes spent hours on it. It was kind of a surprise because this was supposed to be rolled out to the whole class, the teacher's whole roster, but she kind of left it at optional for those students, right? And so it quickly became apparent that without that really in-depth training on the AI, only the kids who just naturally get it used it, and then the ELL classes, the SWD, the on-grade level classes, they stopped using it. They went from, like, these guys had in the thousands, these guys had like 100 minutes for the whole class, right? And it wasn't overtly pushed by the teacher. The teacher showed them all the same how it worked, and then they segregated themselves. And as I looked through, I kind of figured out why. Why did certain classes get in the thousands and do really well, and others, they just, after a week or two, they just stopped using it. So you can see by period, right? So our advanced kids were the first 3 periods. They showed the most growth, right? So they're sitting at about 12% increase from PM2 to PM3, whereas the on-grade level kids, they only showed about 9% growth, right? So her classes are always going to show growth, but we saw an additional 3% growth from her advanced classes, and a lot of it had to do with that AI portion of it. So again, it's just scale scores, the periods versus benchmarks. Our studied students, you can see the state average and our district average. Her advanced classes rocketed above both state and district with her advanced classes. Her on level, slightly below. And those kids weren't using it. So here's a breakdown of the actual amounts they went up. Of course, the gifted classes, they went up a little bit more, right? Because those are the more talented students, whereas her other periods went down. So part of the surveys, the kids, we wanted to know, how did they feel about this program, right? So the only ones that were willing to really take it were the ones who used it. So the gifted advanced kids did not prefer the AI, right? But they did believe that it improved their reading. You know, they saw growth after using the program. They had more confidence with the text. They had more, if they were confused, the kids knew how to write the prompts. They knew what questions to ask to guide the AI. And that's the difference between the advanced classes and the regular classes. The advanced kids, they understood what they didn't understand, right? So they could describe the problem they were having to figure out the central idea or the idea of the text. The on-grade level and the students with disability and the ELL students didn't know how to ask the software what the problem was, right? And so I kind of have found this myself. I'm taking trigonometry now, and it's all online, and I'm struggling with it. I'm utilizing AI not to cheat for the questions, but it's explaining to me what I don't understand. But I know how to ask the questions of what I don't understand, right? So the advanced gifted kids, they just naturally kind of know. The kids who are on grade level in ELL and 504, they don't know the questions to guide the AI to help them, right? And that's why they quickly gave up on it. And they believed that had accurate feedback. They saw the growth, right? These kids used it. They could see the improvements that they were making, because if the teacher couldn't come over to help them, they could type in and say, hey, I see that this was the author's purpose, but why is the central idea this, or different than what kind of the purpose is? So it explains on a level that the students could understand, but you had to have the ability to tell the software what your problem was, right? 83% of the students found that AI feedback was as accurate as their teachers, right? So yes, they believed that the answer they were getting back from the software was equivalent to what their teacher was giving them, right? So I took the survey of the actual teacher. She really believed that she saw growth from the students that used it. She agreed that the program helped improve their reading and writing beyond what had previously occurred, right? So they were getting quality responses, quality information back. That it wasn't a replacement for her, it supplemented her, right? So she couldn't be in every group. She had kids who didn't want to ask, right? They're a little more shy. They didn't want to, call out that they didn't understand. It allowed them to get a response, individualized response that helped them, right? She believes that it would be worthwhile to implement in all ELA classes if there was ample training. Right? The 30 minutes of have at it wasn't enough. It was enough for the advanced classes, and it was enough for the gifted kids. It wasn't enough for the students who just don't just get it, right? And she said which students appeared to benefit. She said all of them, but I had to not push it. I couldn't require it. We didn't have enough time to really teach the kids on how to figure out what the problems are, right? So that was the drop off. She didn't have enough time to give up curriculum time to teach how to ask good questions in the AI so that could be helpful for those ESE and 504 students. All right? So quickly, the school as a whole, they like AI, right? The teachers like AI. They believe there should be more training, that there should be more use for all those types of students. That if school-wide AI training occurred, that they would implement in their programs, right? And then pretty much we had mostly ESE teachers that responded to my survey because they think the biggest benefit is for those kids because they're reluctant learners. They're reluctant to put themselves out there in front of the class. All right, next steps, train people, train everybody. AI is not going anywhere. We need to teach these kids how to use it correctly so it's not a cheating tool, it's a learning tool. The teacher still matters. AI is never going to replace the human in the room because, again, who wants to just spend their time with the computer? There has to be a human aspect. ESE, ELL, they spent the least amount of time on it. They're the ones that should be actually spending the most time on it. So we have to find a way of equalizing access and getting them to actually use it and to learn on it. Sustain and scale, we need to embed it. AI usage in the school systems, right? Not over-reliance, not teaching them how to cheat with it, but learn through it, right? If they don't understand something, they can have it explained to them on their terms how it works. All right? Leadership lessons. Teacher, or like principal, teacher, leadership matters. Just because you give a directive doesn't mean anybody's going to follow it, right? Out of everybody in ELA, she had roughly 10,000 minutes. The rest of the school had like hundreds, right? And that was, she had the vast majority of all the minutes for the whole school. PM scores, they showed correlation. Data matters. So we need to look at why our ELL and our 504 students and our students with disabilities only grew 9%, whereas the other kids grew 12%. Teacher voice is non-negotiable. They complained that 30 minutes was not enough, and we can see it wasn't enough, right? Just a quick, brief, hey, you have this login, have at it. They need training. Real worthwhile training too. All right? And I want to thank all my professors, Dr. Gruber, Dr. Olson, Dr. Otley, Dr. Shankar Brown, Dr. Touchin, Dr. Velez, my principal, Ms. Velez, for letting me poke at her students, all of Galaxy faculty, and my amazing cohort that I have grown to be family with, and my wife Sharon for letting me avoid all obligations on Saturdays because I didn't miss a single class. All right? And then here's my research. That was the hardest part, was reading all that stuff.
Here's $1 million question. Are you going to use it in your new school?
Great question. AI